Okay, I've been meaning to do this series for a while, well, ever since I finished the basic series back in August, but real life events kind of made it impossible to do, starting with the update with the easy anti-cheat, and for some reason it wasn't compatible with Windows I was running at the time because Windows was running a debugger for some reason, and that ended up causing a blue screen of death in September. And anyway, I'm going to try and start the series now before something else happens. So basically, what this is all about is I did the basic series just for my guild and for the people to take and watch that and see how the game was played and everything like that, so they could decide if they wanted to play it or not. Uh, the, I watch plenty of streams and YouTube videos and everything, and the same basic questions keep coming up over and over and over again, and people ask me the same thing over and over again, so I just figured I would make a series about all the mechanics and everything in 7 days to die. So you know how everything works and you know what's what. Like I would tell somebody to go to the desert and get yucca plants to make yucca juice, and they would end up chopping down cactus and everything because they didn't know what the yucca plants look like. So, but we'll go through everything, game settings, all of it. And if you get something out of it, that's great. And if you don't, well, this probably isn't the video for you. With that said, the first thing I'm going to do is just go through the basics, starting up the game, because a lot of that has to do with the gameplay that you end up having later throughout the rest of the game. So we'll start out there. The first thing is with the video, you probably won't use the settings that I use, but uh, here's my settings for view distance. The higher you have it, the further away you can see things. Field of view 60 seems to work best for me. You might have to take and play around with it. That's what you see, like peripheral vision and everything else when you're aiming with stuff. And then LOD distance. In all honesty, this one's going to be about what how good of a computer you have. I could take it all the way to 100% and have no problem whatsoever with my setup. But if you're running a laptop or something like that, you might have to turn it way down to get everything to take and run everything. For this, I'm running it without full screen. Uh, that's just so I can get in and out of stuff and all that to take and show you stuff that I'm doing. Anti-aliasing, again, if you're using a video card or something like that that's built into your motherboard, you might have to go without the anti-alias, and the better computer you got, the better you can use that. Same with the shadow distance. I can take it and have no problem. I'll just put everything on high so you can see what it looks like on my computer, and I'm running a NVIDIA 560 Ti with a gigabyte of RAM on it. Audio, that's all up to you. The only biggie here is to enable voice chat if you're playing on a multiplayer server. If it's not enabled, then you won't be able to hit V and then talk to everybody else on the server. Okay, player controls. basically with the player controls, movement is like it is for just about every game. WASD. Run, left shift. Jump is space, but space always has other uses, and I'll show you that as we get into the game, and I'll show you how stuff goes. C for crouch. Left control to toggle the crouch on and off, and that's what I use most of the time, is just the left control. E is to activate or use something. Q will take and drop one item out of your tool belt. I for inventory. R can be kind of tricky for you because it's used for loading your guns, but it's also used for take all when you're looting something. M for mat. T is for the game chat, if you want to take and use the chat to talk to everybody else. Z is creative mode. I won't use it for the gameplay, but I'm going to use it for the introduction just so I can show you things and make it easier. G is God mode, and the creative mode and God mode all depend on if you have cheat mode turned on or off for the game. I'll show you that when we go through setting up a game. Tilde or back quote is what they call it. That opens up your console. That's mainly for debugging, or if you're an admin on a multiplayer server, so that you can take and do stuff like ban players or add admins, or taking spawn hordes, or taking spawn supply drops. Tab will show you the score for. I'll show you this on. I'm going to do the single player for this series, but I'll show you what it looks like. It'd be the scoreboard for everybody on a multiplayer server. Mouse 1 is your left mouse, and that's for taking and actually shooting guns or placing stuff or stuff like that. Mouse 0 is your right click button, and that's used for doing stuff like repairs, and it also has some uses in your inventory, which I'll show you that. The one everybody seems to want to know but can't find is F, and that toggles turning on your flashlight or your miner's helmet light. And V is push to talk, which is I was showing you in the voice settings. If you hit V, and I'll show you when I actually get into the game how it works and everything like that, so you can tell if it's working. Okay, to show you all this stuff, I've already taken and started a new game, but I'm going to take and still go through all the game setups so you know exactly what it does for you and everything like that. First thing we have is difficulty, and first thing you have under that is the presets. So when you take and change any of these settings here for the difficulty presets, it automatically fills in a whole lot of this stuff for what the default is. So even though Scavenger is the easiest level and everything like that, and it fills in the defaults for it, well, I'll go through and I'll click each one, and you can see how these change. And if you look over here on this side, as I go through each one of these, it explains to you. It says 5 difficulty settings. Scavenger's easiest. Adventure, not a new recruit anymore. Nomad, you have some experience with FPS games. Warrior, now you're starting to impress, and Survivalist, kids, don't try this at home. That's the hardest one. Starting out, if you've never played the game or anything like that, I'll show you the settings that you want to start out a game so you at least survive. You'll start out with Scavenger, which of course is the easiest settings in the game. And the reason I'm telling you all this is because there's been hundreds of players I've seen start playing the game and everything like that, and they don't go and play a single game first. They just jump on somebody's multiplayer server, and then they can't understand why they're dying 20 or 30 times and not getting anything accomplished. For zombie run, you have default, never run, or always run. Default is they run during the night and they walk during the day. For the easiest settings to just learn the game, you want never run. So they'll walk during the day and they'll walk to the night. Loot abundance, you can set it to 200% is the highest, and I believe 25% is the lowest. And the whole thing about this loot abundance is as you go along, you get better in the game. Any of these settings can be changed so that you're actually getting a challenge out of the game. Most of the stuff I'm going to start with here is just for a brand new person, never played the game before, just so they have a chance to survive up till day 7 where you get the feral horde. Loot respawn is how often containers like trash bags, garbage cans, lockers, all that, cabinets, all that stuff takes and respawns to loot. And you have several options there. I have it set for 3 days because that's the easiest one, and that'll get you 2 loot respawns before you get the 7th day horde. And as you can see, you can go all the way from disabled, where you don't have any loot respawns at all, to every 30 days. 3 days is the easiest, and you get loot respawn fast enough to help you out for the first 7-day horde. Then we have drop on death, and that gives you several options, but unfortunately, as you can see, not dropping anything isn't one of the options. You can have drop everything, which includes your clothing, your tool belt only, your backpack only, or you lose everything and there's nothing dropped when you take and die, and you have to start all over from scratch. Damage given is how much damage you do to stuff, like zombies, but it also takes in its other players when you're on a multiplayer server and friendly fire is turned on. And as you can see, that goes all the way from very low damage, which if you look over here on the right hand side, it's telling you very low is 50% damage, low 75, mediums 100, highs 150, and very high, the setting I have it on for beginners, is 200%. And then you have damage received, which is the damage you'll get from other players or the damage you get from zombies. And it's the same percentages and the same thing, very low to very high. And for a brand new player just starting out, wanting to try and survive till they learn how to play the game, I have it set for very low. Enemy memory is for the zombies. That's how long, once they take and detect you, that they'll keep chasing you or trying to get to you. If you can outrun them, or you find a place to hide, then the setting I have it is the lowest, which is 30 seconds, which is you have 30 seconds hiding from them or running away from them before they stop chasing you. And I know you can't see them all on here, but that runs from 30 seconds all the way down to 90 seconds. Enemy spawning is how often you take and you get zombies spawning in the game, and that goes all the way from not spawning at all to very high, which is 150% spawns. For somebody just starting out, want to learn how to use all the mechanics and controls and all that and get used to the game. And also what I'm going to use for the very first part of this, for the introduction, is disabled, and there won't be any zombies. It'll just be me in the map, so I can show you stuff. But if you go with the very low, it still isn't bad, and that way you can learn how to deal with the zombies and the stuff like that. Like I said, all these settings can be changed. Unfortunately, in the game, the way it's set up now, you can't change the settings from in the game. You have to come back to this menu and then go back to difficulty, gameplay, and all that if you want to change anything, and then go back into the game. Enemy aggression is how aggressive the zombies are towards you, and basically it has two modes, which is normal or feral. And a lot of people think that this setting here is to turn the feral horde on and off, and it's not. What it is if you have it set to normal, then the zombies, that's the default for the game. Basically, you can hide from them, you can run away from them, all that. The difference with feral mode is you can't hide from them no matter what you do, and they'll always chase you. So that pretty much takes care of starting a beginner's game for the difficulty level. Like I said, after you take and go play a single player game first and learn the mechanics and all that and what everything looks like and how it works, and then when you feel comfortable with the mechanics, then you can take and you can and then once you get comfortable with all the mechanics and everything like that, don't use the easiest ones anymore. Just come back to scavenger mode and then use its defaults and see how that works for you. And that'll introduce the zombies. That'll introduce all the like the run it at night and take and walk during the day. As you've seen, when I took and changed it back to scavenger from adventurer, it took and it put all the defaults back in again. And there's the defaults for adventurer. Default for in other words, they'll run at night and walk during the day. Loot abundance 150%. Loot respawn 5 days. You only lose your backpack instead of the tool belt, which means the important stuff that you want to keep when you die, you want on your tool belt, and then you'll just lose the stuff that's in your inventory. And it's still high damage for you, low damage for the zombies, but the memory time's been changed to 45 seconds now. But the and the enemy spawn has been changed from disabled to low. So you'll get that. I believe it was there you go. Disabled, no zombies. Very low is 50%. Low is a 75% spawn rate. And aggression stays normal. And there's the defaults for nomad mode. There's the defaults for warrior mode. There's the defaults for survivalist mode. And there's the defaults for the insane mode. And if you notice, even with that, it still didn't change the enemy aggression. It's still on normal and not feral mode. Okay, now to the gameplay menu. Okay, this 24-hour cycle is for how long a day lasts. The max is 240 minutes. So that means 4 hours for every 1 day in the game. And that goes all the way for 10 minutes for a day, 20 minutes for a day, 30 minutes, all the way to 240 minutes. Most of the time when I'm streaming, I use this 60 minutes for a day, because that way I know every day has been an hour of real time for the recording, and it's 1 day in the game. For somebody just starting out, new beginner, all that, go with the 240 minutes and play a single player game, and that gives you a whole lot of daytime where the zombies aren't running, where you can take and find stuff and get used to the mechanics and all that. But I'll tell you, after you get used to it and you're comfortable with the mechanics and the way everything plays, you'll probably want to take and change this setting to something shorter, because the 4-hour days are long. But you won't know that till you play the game. Next one you have is out of that 24-hour cycle, what percentage of it do you want to be nighttime, which is when the zombies run in default mode. And that goes all the way from 20% to 50%. So if you want to be fighting the running zombies the most without putting it on run all the time, change it to the 50% mode, and half of each day you'll have them running, and half of the day you'll have them walking. But for a brand new player doesn't know how to play, go with the 20% mode. Block durability is like when you take and you hit something like a wall or grass or the dirt or anything like that in the game. It's how strong the blocks are, and that goes all the way from 25% to 200%. The normal default game is 100%. If you want, it's up to you, whatever you want to do. A lot of people take and change this setting that do recording and stuff like that when they're doing mining or cutting down trees or stuff like that, because a lot of people think it's boring and everything, so they just rush through and do what they have to do so they can get through it. But for normal gameplay, it'll be at 100%. The other thing you should know about block durability is that's not just for you, that's for the zombies too. So if you have it set on 25%, that means the zombies are going to take and bust through your walls and everything else a lot easier to get to you. So the 100% durability is the default, and that's the normal for you to get through stuff, and that's normal for the zombies to get through stuff to get to you. Craft timer is how long it takes you to take and craft stuff in the game. And that goes all the way from no craft timer to normal, which is pretty slow, and fast. And once I start showing you stuff in the game, I'll come back here and change the settings so that you can take and see how long it is for each one of them. You have the same thing for the loot timer, and this is how long it takes you to open containers and stuff like that. For the introduction part and everything, I'm just going to have none. It doesn't matter, but I will come back here and change the settings so you can see how long it takes to take and like open a safe or something like that. Well, actually, the loot timer even comes into play when you're looting zombies. So whatever you have this set for, that's how long it's going to take you to take and get the loot off the zombies. And the last thing we have is how often you want to take and get airdrops. The most airdrops in a day is every 8 hours, and it'll go to every 24 hours once you've played the game for a while and you really don't think you need the airdrops to take and survive and all that. You can just disable it out of the game. I know quite a few people that have it disabled because they think the stuff in the airdrops now aren't even worth chasing anymore. So that's totally up to you. But again, for somebody just starting out that doesn't know anything about the game, go with every 8 hours on a single player mode so you can get used to it. You know what it is, and you can take and see what's inside of them to see if it's to a benefit of you or not. The last thing we have is cheat, and that's just on or off, and that was all about remember the Z key and the G key when I was showing you the game controls, and basically the Z key turns on the creative menu, which is everything that's available in the game, and turn it on and play with it while you're in your single player mode. Most of the multiplayer servers that you take and play on, this will be turned off and you won't even have access to it. If cheat mode isn't turned on, then you can't use the G key to take and do God mode to take and do stuff. And God mode, you'll still take damage and all that. All it really does is you can go through walls and through the ground and fly up in the sky and all that stuff if you want to take and check stuff out. God mode helps me when I'm on a map and not on multiplayer again, because most multiplayers have cheat mode turned off. But like looking for resources and stuff like that, you can go through the ground and see if there's iron there or whatever you're looking for. But for the first part, for this introduction, I'm going to have cheat mode off. When I actually get to the gameplay section, then I won't have it on. But it'll be easier to do things like take you to the desert and show you exactly what a yucca plant looks like and the difference between a yucca plant and the yucca cactus and what you can do with stuff like that. Okay, that's everything for taking and setting up your game to play. Like I said, everything that I took and I went through here and set it up for is for somebody brand new, never played 7 Days to Die before, doesn't know anything about it, doesn't know the mechanics of playing the game or anything like that, because I'll be honest with you, 7 Days to Die has a steep learning curve, and it's in your best interest to take and go and play this way on a single player server on a game by yourself first, so you can learn how everything takes and works, and then when you get comfortable with that, then take and come back and go to a multiplayer server or change your settings here to make it harder or what the zombies do and all that. But this is just starting out, brand new player, so that you're not getting raped and dying 30 times and not getting anywhere. I mean, the biggest thing for me about doing this video is so you can have fun playing the game, because I see too many new players just dying so much they get frustrated and quit and never come back to the game. And it's not that hard of a game, it just has a steep learning curve, and you have to take and learn how to do stuff, or you're just crippling yourself for the rest of the game. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start up the game, and I'm going to show you a few things, and then I'm going to end this part of the video, and I'll take and start a new video for the other stuff. Like I said, I have the zombies turned off, everything like that. Looks like we started out in the middle of the industrial biome. And biomes are only, it's just the word that used for what kind of area it is. And you have industrial, hold on a second, I'll put on God mode and we'll go around and look at the different ones. Oh, while I'm here, the thing about the industrial area, right here you see these girders. The girders will take and get you 1 ingot of iron in the forge when you take and you cook them down to make iron with. And then the other thing is these cinder blocks. And what you use cinder blocks is they take and they break down in your inventory. This is your inventory and crafting panel right here. And if you take anything in that center panel, it breaks it down to whatever its basic resource is. So like you see, the cinder blocks take and break down to gravel, and then you use gravel to take and make concrete with cement. But we'll take and get into recipes and all that stuff at a later time. Right now, this is just the basics. This is your inventory. This is your tool belt or quick bar, whichever one you want to call it. This is your character. This is where you'd come to take and put on your armor and clothing and stuff like that. And as you take and you put clothing and stuff on, it'll take and increase the armor level that you have. And the different types of armor they have right now in 9.3x is cloth, leather, and then iron armor. So there's 3 different levels. It's also where you can come to see your score, how many times you died, how many other players you're killed if you're on a multiplayer server with friendly fire on, and how many zombies you killed. It has a level indicator right now, and this will go up and all that, but right now character progression isn't implemented in the game, so it doesn't mean anything. And to get to this, it's just like I was showing you in the beginning. You hit the I key, and the I key takes and opens and closes your inventory. Takes and opens up your map. If you right click on the map, it'll ask you if you want to set a waypoint. You just left click it, and that'll set the red flag you see there on the map, and you'll be able to take and see that on your compass. If you look right down here, see the red flag on your compass, and that's pointing right towards where our red flag is on the map. If you want to get rid of that waypoint, go up here to this right here and left click it, and that gets rid of the waypoint for you. The maps and the random generated maps are huge. I've gone 20,000 in every direction on a multiplayer server just looking for cities and stuff. But what I want to show you is this arrow right here. If you click on that and you're way off someplace else on the map, it returns you back to where you're actually at on the map. The next thing I want to explain to you is use your scroll wheel to take and go. You'll also see that once you start building stuff and everything on the map, it'll start showing up on the map, so you'll actually be able to see your base. If you're on a multiplayer server and somebody else has built a base and you go there, you'll be able to see their bases on the map. Down here in the bottom left hand corner is the coordinates grid for the map. And the biggest thing to know about that is there is always a central city at 0 and 0 on the map. So if you're looking for a central city to get stuff, then you'll want to go to 0, 0. And that's an easy city to find. And the reason people want to take and find cities is because that's where the rarer loot's at, like sniper rifles and submachine guns and rocket launchers and augers and chainsaws. And basically right now all the augers and chainsaws I know about have been found in cars. On the random gem map, they don't have military bases like they do on the old static map. So you have to go to police stations, which are only in cities, and you'll find ammo crates, which I'll show you what those look like. And that's where you'll find parts and stuff like that for sniper rifles and SMGs and all that stuff. On the right hand side of your map section, if you're on a multiplayer server, you can take and it'll show you who's on the server, and you can send them friend invites and all that. Once they accept on this one, this is if somebody takes and sends you a friend invite, and you can either accept or decline it. It's up to you. Once you accept it, then your icon will show up green on the map to them, and they'll be able to find you. Other thing, if you're playing with friends and all that, once you accept it, they'll pop up into this My Friends section up here. You can click on their name and then click on this track friend, and then it'll show up as a green arrow on your compass where they're at, so that you can take and run to them to get together. Right now, that's the only way available to take and find your friends and everything so you can get together. There's no teleporting or anything like that so that you can get back and forth to each other. Also, some of the keys that aren't documented in the game is you have a F8 key, the function 8, F8, and when you hit that, it takes and it turns on your frames per second over here to show you what you're getting for frames. Just to let you know, the game's not optimized right now, so that it kind of helps you out, because if you see a big drop in your FPS from what you normally see, it usually means that there's a zombie horde near you. You'll also see your frames drop a whole lot whenever you go into the city. That's for everybody, no matter how good your computer is. So we covered your inventory, the basics for the crafting. We're going to get into that a lot heavier in another video. And this is your tool belt, and this is what you get to start a game. 1 deal of water, 1 deal of stashed chili, and a healing bandage. The bandages with the Red Cross heal you and also stop bleeding if you get attacked by a dog or something like that. Okay, I just turned on God mode, and you can see I'm up in the air now, floating up in the air, and I just want to show you the different kind of biomes and what's important about the biomes. This industrial biome here is home to most of the hard zombies in the game, which is dogs and the acid spitting cops. Right over here, this is a desert biome, and the desert biomes are some of the easiest to survive in, because there's a lot of food and stuff where you don't need anything to take and get water to take and survive with. This aged wood here, that'll give you wood planks, so you can, cause there's no trees or anything in the biome. So instead of cutting down trees, you pick up aged wood, and you'll also find this aged wood along the riverbanks and everything. Right here is a yucca plant. This is what it looks like. And with the yucca plants, well, I'll show you the creative mode right now. This is the creative mode. This is everything that's available in the game. And you can go through and look at everything on your own time. There's a lot here. Basically, what I'm looking for is empty jars so I can show you about this yucca plant. Oh, and I'm going to get an axe too so I can show you about these other plants. Okay, when you use something out of this creative mode, the only place you can take and put stuff is on your tool belt. So if you don't empty out your tool belt ahead of time, then you'll have to take and close it by hitting escape, and then take and reopen it again after you've got your tool belt cleared out. Okay, empty jars. Basically, what we're going after is this yucca fruit, which is actually the cactus. And then you have yucca juice, which is made out of the yucca plants that I just picked up. This is a yucca cactus right here. This is what it looks like. If you take and you run up against it, I'm in God mode right now, so it's not doing anything. Okay, I turned God mode off. If you run up against it, it'll actually damage you and cause some health loss. But if you take your axe or your stone axe, you'll get these yucca fruit, which is completely different from the yucca plant. Okay, a little bit about your inventory. You can take and right click on an item and it'll take half of what's ever in the stack. Just like it did there. You can take and well, let's do yucca juice so you can see how this whole thing works for doing crafting. This search box is your friend when you're first starting the game and everything like that, because there's hundreds of recipes here that can take you forever to take and find stuff. By just using the search box, you can take and find it real easy. We were looking for yucca juice, so I typed in yucca, and then it shows you the components of what you need to take and build yucca juice. Okay, I picked up 7, and when I right clicked in the center box, it put 1 there. So you use right click to take and then add 1. And there's the yucca plant. And then you just hit this craft button and it makes your yucca juice. Any of the items in the game you can take and hover over and you'll get tool tips for them. And I'll just show you a few for the stuff that we got already. And what you see there for stamina, fullness, and hydration, that has to do with your 4 bars over here. The first bar is for health. This bar here is for your stamina. This bar is for your fullness or how hungry you are. And this bar is for your hydration and whether you're dying of thirst and everything. And I plan on letting this run long enough to where you can actually see how these things affect you. But that will probably be for another video. The point I wanted to make to you is that in the desert here I have something to drink and I have something to eat. And you saw how I got them. I just picked them up off the ground and chopped down the cactus, and I got stuff to eat and drink, so I'm not starving and I'm not dying from thirst. And then when you're in the desert, you walk a whole lot slower because the sand takes and slows you down. Okay, back to God mode. Oh, and just so you know, for God mode, uh, the jump key puts you up in the air, and the C key takes and brings you back down again. See if I can find a different biome to take you to. And when you're first starting out a game, the good thing to know is you can follow the rivers to roads, and you can follow the roads to rivers. But while I'm right here, I'm going to show you something. If you follow the river banks, you can always get a couple of different things. This red dirt you see right here, the red dirt is clay. So you can always take and follow a river bank until you find this red dirt, and that'll give you clay. And clay is used for making your molds and stuff for the furnace. The other thing you'll always take and find is sand. And sand is used to make your empty glass jars, so you can take and fill them up with yucca or water or whatever it is that you want to do. But the original point I was going to make is that with the rivers, you can always follow the rivers till you find a road, or you can follow the roads till you find a river. They always run together, and the rivers are always along the edge of biomes. So like over here, I have the industrial biome. And I have another industrial biome here on the other side. And I'm going to do a little bit of traveling till I find you one of the other biomes, till I show you what all the different biomes are. Okay, I see these trees in the distance, so that's telling me I have a different biome on this side. And you see the white stuff, so that means I have a snow biome. Snow biomes, they're okay for the food because you have these blueberries here you can take and pick, but it has no ready source of hydration like the yucca fruit of the desert. So the biggest thing about the snow biome is you can take and get the snow and take the snow and combine it with an empty jar. And that'll make you murky water. And murky water is the same thing that I would get is if I went over here to the river and I got water out of the river. to take and get water from a water source. Say you're dying of thirst and you can't find any water or anything anywhere to drink. You can drink for these rivers. All you have to do is go to a blank space on your toolbar where there's nothing there to use. Take and put your crosshairs down at the water and then take and right click and you'll drink. Okay, the thing about drinking from one of these sources with murky water is you always have a 50-50 chance that you're going to get dysentery. I lucked out on that one. I didn't get dysentery, but I'm going to drink again till I get dysentery so you can take and you can see what it is and what it does to you. Okay, said I feel sick to my stomach. The icon you get over here is that you have the shits. And the biggest thing you want to do is go over here to your character. In this buff section, it shows you everything that's going on with you. So there's the icon there, and when I hover over it, and it says I have dysentery. It's going to last for 4,800 seconds. How much time I have left of that. Modifiers is I'm losing 1 stamina every second I have this sickness. And it's saying you feel sick to your stomach and you have diarrhea, goldenrod tea may help you. So that would say we need to go find out what goldenrod is so we can make tea with it. If you'll notice, there's another one here with a nose. Well, that's screwed up because it's saying the same thing for both of them. But really what the nose is that means that you have something on you that the zombies can smell and they can use to track you down. And all of that happened when I picked up the blueberries. Well, obviously I've messed up something with the game playing with this God mode because now everything says it's dysentery. So I'm going to take and log out, what you do by hitting escape. Then when you just hit continue game and go back in again. And most times it'll cure whatever problems you're having with the game if you just do that. Go back out to the menu. Oh, also, that's how you would take and change the settings to the game if you want to change something to make it easier or harder. You just hit escape, go back to that menu, go through and change whatever it is, and then restart the game or continue the game. And we end up right back where we were before. There you go. Now it's saying you're carrying something that smells on you and it attracts zombies. We can see it's with the blueberries. If you look at the tooltip at the bottom, it says it's smelling and it actually gives you a range for how far away they can smell it if it's in your backpack and how far away they can smell it if it's in your tool belt. The other thing I wanted to show you is how you get water from sources like this. Same thing as when I was drinking. I select a jar and then I right click. And when I right clicked, it filled the body up with murky water, which is the exact same thing that I was going to get by putting the snow inside an empty jar. And you can see there it was saying I had a 50-50 chance of getting dysentery. How you turn this murky water into bottled water is you have to take and put it on a campfire in a cooking pot and boil it, and then you get regular drinking water that won't have any effect on you except for increasing your hydration. Also, while I'm standing here on a body of water, if you take and just walk into the water, you'll sink down to the bottom. But if you hold down the space bar, then you'll take and you'll swim in the water. Well, you'll swim on top of the water. So by holding down, not just pressing, you actually have to hold down the space bar and then you swim in water. If you let go and you don't hold it down, you sink back down into the water again. So that's how you swim in the game. And that's one of the undocumented keys for where I was showing you the controls and everything, because space bar is for jumping, but space bar is also for swimming in the water. And that's also a good thing to show you. If you open your inventory or do anything while you're jumping, then you sink to the bottom. The other thing is look over to the left-hand side of my screen, and when I went underwater, you'll see this O2 indicator right here, and that's saying that you can't breathe because you're drowning. It says I have 20 seconds, and here we go. You are drowning. And you'll start taking damage the longer that you stay under. There used to be a glitch in the game that sometimes when you came out of the water, you didn't get the thing saying that you were breathing again. And you could run out here on dry land and get way far out in the woods, and that O2 indicator on the left would still be on the whole time, and you didn't realize it, and you could drown up here on the top of this mountain. So whenever you come out of a body of water and everything, make sure the O2 indicator is gone and it's not saying that you can't breathe anymore. And it's giving you an indicator here. It's saying we have 20 seconds total before you start drowning and taking damage. And I didn't see anything about saying I could breathe again, so I don't know, but the O2 indicators, it's gone off the left-hand side of the screen, so you should be fine. But anyway, the whole point was this is the snow biome. The only big thing here that's different about any other biome is those blueberries that you can take and eat. So back to God mode and see if we can find one of the other biomes. So far we found the desert, we found an industrial biome and a snow biome. also, while I'm at it, the zombies for the snow biome are lumberjacks, and they're just normal zombies. They don't do anything special, but they're some of the toughest zombies that's in the game. In other words, it'll take you a lot to take and kill one. So just be aware if you start out in the snow biome and you don't have any weapons or nothing like that, you might want to take and avoid the zombies until you get better weapons to take and fight them with. Okay, the key I just hit there was the shift key, and the shift key is what makes you run in the game. And when you let go of it, this is what it looks like when you walk in the game. And this is what I was telling you about, that roads and rivers always cross each other. So if you're looking for either one, that's the way to find them. Either follow a road till you get to a river, or follow a river until you get to a road. And it looks like we still have a snow biome on one side and industrial biome on the other. And yes, I know my food and water deals are going down, but I'm doing that on purpose so I can show you something about the game. That's why I haven't, even though I picked up stuff, I haven't eaten or drank anything. Okay, we have a new biome here. And yes, you will take damage if you take and you have a fall. But this is a forest biome, and these yellow flowers right here are the goldenrod that you use to take and make the goldenrod tea with. What's also special about the forest biomes is they have cotton. And what you hear right here for my food deal, it's saying I'm starving to death, and that's why you hear me, I'm taking damage and everything. And I'm doing that on purpose. Just so you know, if you're going through trying to open up a safe or loot something or aim with a gun while you're starving or you're dying of thirst, it'll take and reset the timer, or it'll take and throw off your aim so that you end up missing when you shoot. So in regular gameplay, you wouldn't want to do this because it'll mess things up. These red flowers are chrysanthemums, and you use them to make redwood planks for decorator stuff when you're taking and building. In the beginning, it wouldn't be something that you'd be worried about. I was looking for another piece of cotton. Oh, there it is. You need two pieces because it has to be one right on top of the other. So I put the two here in the center square, and I right clicked it to take half and put the other one up here on the top. And then that gives you a cloth fragment. And cloth is what you use to take and make all your armor and stuff like that. It's also what you take and you use to make a sleeping bag with. So this tells me I need 5, 6 pieces of cloth to make a sleeping bag. And what a sleeping bag does for you is it makes a respawn point for you in the game. So that if you die, you go back to where the sleeping bag is instead of getting sent to another biome someplace completely different and having to start all over from scratch. If you put the sleeping bag down, then you'll go back to an area that you already know. So, and that's what you want to put down once you get a base built so that you spawn back inside your base. Excuse me 1 minute while I find the stuff for a campfire. Well, it's starting to look like it'll be easier just for me to cut down a tree and show you. Oh, the way you take and move stuff around on your tool belt, like I just selected the axe there, is you use the scroll wheel on your mouse to move back and forth. Or if you notice, each one of them has a number 1 through 8, and you can just hit the number and it'll take you to that item. Okay, what I wanted to show you about a campfire is there's 3 different ways that you can take and do stuff for the campfire. And while I'm showing you the campfire, I'm going to show you the different kinds of fuel, and you can take and see the different burn times for each one of them. So I'll use my scroll wheel, I'll just hit 8 and select the campfire. And then right click to take and place it down wherever you want to put it. As long as the box is green and it's good. I don't see a place where it's saying that I can't place it down. Oh, there, you can hardly see it, but it's red at the bottom, so I couldn't place the campfire there. Then take and press E to use the campfire. And for a campfire, you have 3 different options that you can take and use to make stuff in here. Well, actually, you have 4. I don't have the beaker. I didn't get a beaker. While I'm at this, there's 2 ways to get rid of stuff out of your inventory. One is to take and select it on your tool belt and hit Q, the Q key, and that'll drop 1 of whatever you have. If you have a whole bunch, like I have 63 of the grills and I want to get rid of them, I actually have to pick it up and put it out here. You'll see there's an area and click and it'll drop. And that takes and it throws it away. There you go. See, the 63 grills are sitting on the ground now because I threw them outside my inventory. You can use a cooking grill to cook with. If you notice, with nothing here, I can't put any in. But as soon as I take and I put a piece of cookware, which stick is considered a piece of cookware, I can put an ingredient in. With the stick and also with the grill, no water is required to take and cook. If you use a cookware, then you will have to use water to take and cook. And if you notice, as soon as I put it in, it's saying I have the ingredients to make goldenrod tea. Because it's white, I've never opened the recipe, so I can't make it. But as soon as I put the right ingredients in, it becomes green, and now I can make goldenrod tea. The next thing that I wanted to show you is the different kinds of fuel. These are the basic fuels you'll have: coal oil, coal ore, the wood logs, coal lumps, and wood planks. And I put them in order here from the longest burning to the shortest burning, and actually sticks also. And I'll show you, I'm going to go tooltip over the top of each one of those, and you can look and see the burn times on each one. For coal oil, we're getting 6 minutes 40 seconds. Wood log will burn for 3 minutes 12 seconds. A lump of coal will burn for 40 seconds. A wood plank will burn for 12 seconds. And a stick will burn for 4 seconds. As you see right here, this is how long it's saying it's going to take and cook my goldenrod tea, 30 seconds. Well, I know the lump of coal is 40 seconds. So I put one lump of coal, and then you hit this cook button. You can see right here, well, it gives you a red indicator at the bottom, but you'll also see the jar filling up, telling you that the stuff is cooking. Now, if it hasn't been too long, I can take and drink this goldenrod tea, and the dysentery you see over on the left-hand side should go away. And there you go. That's how you cure dysentery. If you wait, I don't remember, I do believe it's like one game day or something like that, and you don't cure your dysentery, then the only way you can take and cure it after that is to use antibiotics. Unfortunately, it took and filled up my hydration again, because what I wanted to show you is I've completely starved to death. If you notice, my health has gone down to 1, but I didn't die, and that's what I wanted to show you. You can't starve to death, and you can't die of thirst in the game. So it's annoying and everything with all the deal to your health bar gets down to 1 point, but it won't kill you. You can still keep going and do what you need to do. And with that, I think I'm going to stop this episode, and I'll come back and start another episode for other areas and more game mechanics.